Okay, so um, ready to dive into something I think we all encounter pretty much every day at work.
Meetings?
Meetings, yeah. They kind of have a reputation, right?
Yeah, definitely.
What if I told you there's a way to make them not just bearable, but actually productive and maybe even fun?
I think it's all about communication.
Oh,
Even for those of us who practically live in meetings, I think it's less about the ideas themselves and more about how they're presented, how we engage others, and how we create a space where everyone feels heard.
it's almost like there's a secret language, right?
Yeah,
Like a set of phrases that can unlock smoother collaboration.
exactly.
And that's what we're going to unpack today.
Yeah, think of it like a cheat sheet for navigating those tricky social dynamics,
Well,
making you sound more confident and in control.
so we're going to kind of follow the flow of a typical meeting from start to finish, and we're going to uncover those verbal gems along the way.
Yeah, I think what's really fascinating is how those first few moments can really set the tone for the entire meeting.
Right. It's like setting the stage for a play. Like imagine walking into a meeting and the host says, "Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining today's meeting." It's so simple, right?
Right.
But it makes you feel welcome.
It does. It establishes a sense of respect, I think, for everyone's time.
Totally.
And then even just a quick, let's get started. I hope you all can hear me clearly,
Right.
shows that you're organized and considerate.
Shows you're on top of things.
Yeah.
And those little technical things, I think they really matter too. Can everyone see my screen? Or please let me know if you have any technical issues.
Oh, absolutely.
That can save a lot of headache later.
Yeah, it's about being proactive and anticipating those potential roadblocks.
Exactly.
And if you're waiting for a few people to join, just a simple, I'm just waiting for a few more people to join,
Right. Yeah.
keeps everyone informed without creating that pressure.
Totally. So we've got everybody settled in. Now, how do we set the agenda?
Well, a clear opening statement like, today we'll be discussing topic,
Perfect.
sets the stage.
Yeah, it's like giving everyone a roadmap.
Exactly. And then following that with, the main objective of this meeting is to state objective.
Right.
Immediately focuses everyone on the desired outcome.
I love that. And just to make sure everyone's literally on the same page, I've shared the agenda in the chat for your reference.
Oh, for sure.
Super helpful.
Transparency and accessibility, I think, are key for effective collaboration.
Yes.
And then even just a quick, let's review the agenda quickly before we begin, allows for any last-minute adjustments and ensures that everyone's aligned.
Here's a tip that I've found to be really useful. If anyone have other points to add, please mention them now.
Oh, that's great.
It makes people feel like their input is valued right from the start.
Absolutely. I love that. It creates a more inclusive environment where everyone feels comfortable contributing.
Yeah. And now let's talk about introductions.
Yeah.
They sometimes feel a little bit awkward,
Yeah.
but they're so important, right?
Yeah, they are.
For setting the tone and building that rapport.
For sure.
So how do we ease into those?
What a simple, let's do a quick round of introductions, or could everyone introduce themselves briefly?
Easy.
Breaks the ice.
Yeah.
Encourages participation.
And if we've got some new people in the group, it's great to see some new faces here. Welcome name.
Yes! Love that.
Instantly makes them feel at ease.
Right. And to go a step further, you could even say, thank you for joining us, name.
Yes.
Could you share a bit about your role?
Nice.
It shows genuine interest, and it helps everyone understand their perspective.
It's those little things,
It is.
that make a big difference.
Absolutely.
So we've got introductions out of the way.
Okay.
Now let's move on to the heart of the meeting, the actual discussion.
All right, let's do it.
Let's get into it.
Once the conversation gets going, it's kind of like navigating a river, right?
Okay.
There are currents and eddies, and you need the right tools to keep things flowing smoothly.
I like that analogy.
Yeah.
And those tools, I guess, are the phrases we're going to be uncovering today. So let's say we've covered a topic, and we've covered it thoroughly. How do we move on without making it feel too abrupt?
Well, instead of just jumping to the next item, you could say something like, let's move on to the next point on the agenda, or now that we've covered topic, let's discuss next topic.
Right.
It signals a clear shift while keeping everyone on the same page.
Yeah, those transitions are like signposts,
Exactly.
guiding us through the meeting.
Yeah, and before moving on before we proceed, does anyone have questions on this?
Oh, yeah.
Ensures that everyone's following along.
Good point. So we're checking for understanding. Right?
Yeah.
We're preventing anyone from feeling lost.
Yeah.
And what's interesting, too, is how you can even acknowledge those tangents that inevitably pop up,
Oh, yeah.
right?
All the time.
And sometimes they can be valuable,
They can be.
but you don't want them to completely derail the entire meeting.
Right.
So how do we handle this?
Well, you can acknowledge it with a, we'll come back to that point later if needed, or let's dive deeper into that topic, you know? But maybe schedule a separate conversation.
Right. So it's a balance, right?
It is. Yeah.
Encouraging that open dialogue,
Yeah,
but keeping things on track.
for sure.
So let's talk about the discussion itself. It's like conducting an orchestra, right?
It is.
You want everyone to play their part harmoniously.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And just like a conductor uses cues, we can use specific phrases to shape the flow of conversation.
I like it.
You know, a simple, please feel free to share your thoughts, or does anyone have any questions so far, creates space for people to contribute.
It creates a sense of psychological safety
It does.
where everyone feels comfortable speaking up.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
And to make sure everyone's voice is heard, you can say something like, I'd like to hear everyone's opinion on this.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah,
Because it shows you value all those different perspectives.
exactly.
But what about those times when you need to bring a little bit more order to the discussion, especially if you have a large group?
Sure.
It can be really tricky to make sure everyone gets a chance to speak.
You're right. In those situations, a simple, please raise your hand if you'd like to speak, can help prevent interruptions and ensure that everyone is heard.
Right.
You know, it creates a structure for participation.
It does. It creates a respectful and inclusive space
Yeah.
for dialogue.
Yeah.
And let's not forget about the virtual meetings.
Oh, yeah.
Those little practicalities can make a big difference.
Oh, absolutely. A gentle reminder, like, can we all mute ourselves if we're not speaking to reduce background noise?
Yes.
Can be a lifesaver for audio quality.
Huge.
Yeah. And it shows that you're considerate of everyone's listening experience.
So we've talked about setting the agenda,
Right.
navigating transitions, managing the discussion.
Okay.
Now let's delve into the art of responding
Okay.
to those brilliant ideas and valuable feedback that emerge during a meeting.
All right.
It's not just about hearing what people say, right? It's about showing them that their contributions are valued.
You hit the nail on the head. Active listening and validation are key here.
Yeah.
Even a simple, that's a great point name, or thanks for bringing that up, can make someone feel heard and encourage further participation.
Totally. It's like you're acknowledging the value of their input,
Exactly.
even if you don't necessarily agree with everything.
Right.
And when you do agree, a genuine, I agree with what you just said,
Yeah.
can build that momentum and foster a sense of shared understanding.
It creates a positive feedback loop, encouraging more open and collaborative dialogue.
I love that.
Yeah.
But what about those times when you need more information or clarification?
Oh.
So, an idea sparks your curiosity,
Right.
but you need more details to fully grasp it.
Yeah.
How do we dig a little deeper without derailing the conversation?
Well, a phrase like, could you elaborate on that name, comes in handy.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, it shows that you're genuinely interested in understanding their perspective, and it invites them to share more.
It's like saying, tell me more, I'm all ears.
Exactly.
Yeah,
And sometimes a topic requires more time and attention than the meeting allows.
for sure.
So in those cases, a phrase like, let's discuss this more after the meeting if necessary, acknowledges the importance of the point while keeping things on schedule.
Perfect.
Yeah,
It's a win-win.
it is.
You're showing respect for both the idea and everyone's time.
Exactly.
It's like saying, this is valuable, but let's not hijack the current conversation.
Precisely. Now let's shift gears a bit. We've talked about responding to ideas, but how do we proactively extract those valuable opinions and perspectives from the group?
Good question.
It's about more than just asking any thoughts.
Right.
It's about prompting thoughtful reflection and encouraging diverse viewpoints.
I like that. It's like we're tapping into the collective wisdom
Exactly.
of the group.
Yeah,
So how do we phrase those questions?
right. Well, instead of those generic prompts, you could try something more specific, like, what does everyone think about this approach? Or how do you all feel about this proposal? Yeah.
So those targeted questions, I guess, are inviting people to think critically
They are.
and share their unique perspectives.
Exactly. And to gauge feasibility and buy-in questions like, do you think this is a realistic goal? Or is everyone in agreement with this plan? Can be incredibly valuable.
Yeah, you're checking in with the group,
Right.
make sure everyone's on board before moving forward.
Exactly.
Helps avoid surprises down the line.
It does.
And it ensures a smoother implementation process.
And remember, the way you phrase your questions can subtly influence the responses you receive.
That's true.
So aim for neutrality and avoid leading questions that might bias the discussion.
Right. You want those authentic perspectives,
You do.
not just echoes of your own opinions.
Exactly.
So we've talked about setting the stage, managing the discussion, responding effectively, and even extracting those valuable opinions. But let's be honest, Even the best planned meetings can sometimes veer off course.
They do.
How do we gracefully steer those conversations back on track without stifling creativity or making anyone feel shut down?
Well, this is where your diplomatic skills come into play.
Okay.
It's about being assertive but respectful, acknowledging the value of the side conversation while gently reminding everyone of the meeting's objectives and time constraints.
So instead of a blunt, get back to the topic,
Wow.
what are some phrases we can use?
Well, you could try something like, let's get back on track with the agenda, or we're running short on time, so let's move forward. It's firm but respectful,
Okay.
acknowledging the need for focus without completely shutting down the conversation.
It is a subtle art,
Is.
finding that balance between honoring everyone's contributions
Yeah,
but keeping things moving.
absolutely. And if a particular point needs further discussion but it's taking up too much time, you could say, I'll summarize this quickly so we can continue. Or let's keep our focus on the main topic for now.
It's like saying, we value this discussion, but let's table it for now so we can cover everything on the agenda.
Exactly.
And what about for those super interesting but tangential discussions?
Yeah.
Can we just say, can we save this for later?
You can. A polite, if we could save further questions for later, we'd appreciate it, can defer the conversation without dismissing it altogether.
Right.
It's like saying, we appreciate your enthusiasm, but let's stay focused on the task at hand for now. And one of the most satisfying moments in a meeting, I think, is when we transition from brainstorming to action.
Totally.
It's where all that talk starts to turn into tangible results.
Yes. Love it. But sometimes bridging that gap can be tricky. How do we make sure those great ideas don't just get lost in the shuffle?
This is where clear, action-oriented language becomes crucial. It's about moving from the realm of possibility to the realm of accountability and implementation.
Okay.
So instead of vaguely saying someone should do this, try something more specific like, can we assign someone to follow up on this? Or name, could you take the lead on this task?
Right. So you're assigning clear responsibility.
Exactly.
You're setting things in motion.
And to ensure accountability, you establish clear deadlines. Let's set a deadline for this action item. This helps everyone prioritize and stay on track, preventing those action items from languishing in a to-do list abyss.
Yes, it's like we're setting those wheels in motion,
Exactly.
giving those ideas momentum.
And for items that need further discussion or input before they can be fully actioned, a simple, I'll make a note of this for our next meeting, keeps things organized and ensures that nothing falls through the cracks.
Perfect. And if you need specific updates or information by a certain date, a clear request like please send me your updates by date ensures everyone knows what's expected and by when.
It's all about clarity and transparency, making sure everyone's on the same page. And speaking of clear communication, let's talk about the art of wrapping up a meeting effectively.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Just as important as the opening, right?
You're absolutely right. The closing is like the final bow after a performance. It's your chance to leave a lasting positive impression and ensure that everyone walks away feeling accomplished and informed. So let's talk about those closing phrases that seal the deal and set the stage for future success. It's like that feeling of accomplishment when you reach the summit of a mountain. You take a moment to appreciate the view and then start planning your descent.
Right. You got to get back down.
Exactly. And a well-executed closing ensures that everyone leaves the meeting with that same sense of accomplishment and clarity about the next steps.
So what are some of those phrases that signal it's time to wrap things up,
Okay.
without feeling abrupt?
Right. Well, a simple, let's wrap things up for today, does the trick.
Okay.
It's direct but not dismissive, letting everyone know that the meeting is coming to a close.
Right. It's like that gentle nudge that says, okay, we've covered a lot. Let's bring this to a close.
Exactly. And it's always a good idea to express appreciation for everyone's contributions. A sincere thanks, everyone, for your contributions goes a long way in making people feel valued and respected.
It shows you appreciate their time and their input.
Exactly.
Mhm.
It reinforces that sense of teamwork and encourages future participation.
Totally. And to make sure everyone leaves with the same understanding, a simple, I'll follow up with meeting notes after this call,
Oh, that's key.
provides valuable documentation
It does.
and reinforces those key decisions.
Absolutely.
So it's like we're creating a tangible record
We are.
of our collective progress.
Exactly.
And if another meeting is needed, a proactive, let's set our next meeting date before we go, ensures that everyone has it on their calendars and can plan accordingly.
It keeps the momentum going and demonstrates your commitment to follow through.
I love that.
Uh,
And of course, no meeting is complete without a genuine, thanks again for your time. Have a great day, everyone.
That's the final touch of warmth and courtesy that leaves a lasting, positive impression.
It's amazing how these seemingly simple phrases can have such a profound impact on the whole meeting experience, right?
It really is. It's not about manipulating people. It's about leading with clarity, respect, and a genuine desire for collaboration.
It's about turning those meetings from dreaded obligations into opportunities for connection and innovation and progress.
Exactly. It's about harnessing the power of language to create a more productive and enjoyable work environment.
Absolutely. So as you head back into that world of meetings armed with these verbal gems, remember that it's not just about sounding professional.
Right.
It's about creating a space where everyone feels comfortable contributing their ideas and working together to achieve those shared goals.
And never underestimate the power of a well-placed thank you. Gratitude goes a long way in building strong relationships and fostering a positive team dynamic.
Well said. Well, thank you for joining us on this deep dive into the fascinating world of meeting speak. We hope you learned a few tricks of the trade and you're feeling empowered to conquer those meetings with confidence and grace. Until next time, keep those conversations flowing and those ideas soaring.